6 Ways to Eliminate Anxiety from a Therapist. Want to know how to truly magnetic?
Are you trapped in overthinking? Let's be honest, it is a truly painful place to be. You feel stuck in this uncontrollable, tiring cycle of worry that literally drains your mental energy before you've even started your day. For many of us, this constant stream of anxiety feels like an incurable part of who we are. Actually, scratch that. It feels like a permanent flaw in our wiring.
But here is a massive paradigm shift from licensed psychotherapist Emma McAdam. That constant overthinking, it turns out it's just a bad habit. It is a glitching mental cycle that we just kind of fall into on autopilot. It is absolutely not an incurable personality trait. You are not broken. You've simply formed a cognitive habit. And you know what the absolute beauty of habits is? They can be broken. That realization alone should give you some immediate, profound relief.
So, to reclaim our peace of mind, we're going to use a really clear 3-part framework. First up, catching the worry. Second, interrupting the loop. And third, shifting your focus. All right, kicking things off with Phase 1, catching the worry, also known as catch and contain.
The fundamental truth here is that you absolutely cannot fix an anxiety loop if you don't even acknowledge that you're actively in one. Awareness is always going to be your first line of defense. So our first method is to notice and name. Rumination usually happens entirely on autopilot, particularly when our minds aren't otherwise occupied. To break that autopilot, you need a manual override. The absolute quickest way to catch the habit is to literally say out loud, "I am overthinking right now." Speaking it aloud forces your brain to process the thought differently. And hey, if you struggle to catch it yourself in the moment, ask a close friend or partner to gently point it out when you start spiraling.
Now, what's really interesting about this is identifying your triggers. People don't just overthink randomly, right? There are distinct patterns. Ask yourself, do you spiral right before going to bed? Is it after socializing with others? Or perhaps during idle times when you have absolutely no distractions? Knowing these specific triggers prepares you to redirect your attention in advance. If you know bedtime is a danger zone, you can prepare a grounding strategy before your head even hits the pillow.
Method 2 is incredibly effective. You need to schedule worry time. I know it sounds crazy, but human brains actually love boundaries and clear rules. By setting a boundary, you prevent worry from completely consuming your entire day. Here's how it works. Set a specific time on your calendar. Let's say 1400 for exactly 35 minutes. If a worry pops up at 10 a.m., you tell your brain, nope, not now. We have an appointment for this later. The absolute golden rule here is step 3. When that time finally arrives, you must write all your worries down on paper. You can't just sit there and think. Writing it down takes those abstract, chaotic thoughts right out of your head and puts them into a concrete, manageable physical form.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Phase 2, interrupting the mental loop. So once you've caught the habit, you need to stop it right in its tracks. This phase is all about taking back control from your own brain. The brain is like a machine generating hundreds of thoughts per hour, but you hold the remote control to change the channel. Just because your brain produces a negative or anxious thought definitely does not mean you have to believe it, and you certainly don't have to engage with it. You are the observer of your thoughts. You hold the remote.
So how do you actually use that mental remote control? Well, imagine switching channels on a TV. You want to shift away from the channel of things you cannot control, which is exactly where anxiety thrives, by the way, and intentionally tune into the channel of things you can control and the things you genuinely feel grateful for. When you notice you're stuck on that negative channel, physically imagine pressing a button on a remote. You are actively choosing where your mental energy goes.
Method 4 is grounding in the present moment. The reasoning here is super fascinating. The human brain absolutely hates emptiness. If you simply try to just stop thinking, your brain is going to rush right back to the negative loop to fill the void. You have to give it a new job. Pull your attention to the external world through your senses. Notice exactly what you are seeing right in front of you. Pay deep attention to the feeling of your breath going in and out of your body. Anchoring yourself in the physical present cuts that repetitive internal mental cycle immediately.
Moving right along to Phase 3, shifting to actionable values, which is also known as redirection.
Since nature abhors a vacuum, we must ultimately replace the bad habit of rumination with positive, forward-moving action. Method 5 is all about shifting your perspective, and this brilliantly illustrates the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. Abstract thinking relies on the word why. Why am I failing? Or why do I always struggle with relationships? This just induces self-blame and a feeling of total helplessness. Concrete thinking, on the other hand, relies on the word what. What is one small step I can take today to take care of myself? Going for a short walk, reading a chapter of a book. You are shifting from abstract blame to concrete,
empowering action.
Method 6 starts with a playful but very real psychological trap. Okay, whatever you do right now, do not think about a pink elephant. I guarantee that every single one of you is picturing a pink elephant right now. This proves a vital point. Thought suppression always fails. The harder you try to force yourself not to think about your anxieties, the more your brain naturally obsesses over the very thing you are desperately trying to avoid.
Therefore, instead of exhausting yourself fighting the pink elephant, we use Method 6. Shift energy to your values. Ask yourself what is truly important and valuable in your life right now. Then redirect your mental energy toward those things. Spend quality time with your family. Pursue meaningful, tangible goals. Take actions that actively prevent the social isolation that overthinking so often causes. You aren't avoiding your problems. You are choosing to invest your limited energy into creating real, positive results in your life.
I want to leave you with one final question to think about. What is one small thing you can do today to reclaim your peace? So the crucial point is that overthinking is not a life sentence. It is just a habit. And armed with these methods, from noticing the loop to using your mental remote control to acting on your values, you now have the tools to break it for good. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I challenge you to pick just one of these methods and take that small step today.